You're talking to someone. Everything is normal. And then you say something that comes out slightly wrong. Not horrible, not offensive, just weird enough that there's a tiny pause. They look at you. You notice the look. And 3 seconds later, the conversation has already moved on. But your brain hasn't. Because that night, while they're probably doing absolutely nothing related to you, you're lying in bed thinking, why did I say it like that? Then, wait, why did they look at me like that? Then, do they think I'm weird now? And somehow, 3 awkward seconds have become 5 hours of your life. But here's the weird part. Your brain usually isn't replaying the moment because something terrible happened. It's replaying it because you don't know what happened. You don't know what they thought. That tiny pause could have meant nothing. That look could have been about you. Could have been about something behind you. Could have just been their face. But your brain doesn't get to see any of that. All it gets is an unfinished question. What did they think of me? And unfinished questions are dangerous when your brain is allowed to answer them itself. Because now it starts investigating. You replay their face, their tone, the pause before they answered. Maybe they sounded slightly colder afterward. Or did they? You play it again. And every replay feels useful. Like maybe this time you'll finally figure out what happened. But something else is actually happening. Every time you replay the scene, you create another version of it. The first time, that was awkward. The 5th time, maybe they noticed. The 10th, maybe they think I'm annoying. And by midnight, one weird sentence has somehow become, I have completely destroyed this person's opinion of me. Nothing new happened. You just kept thinking. And somehow, the story got worse. Think about how differently this works when someone else is awkward. Someone says the wrong word. Their joke doesn't land. They start a sentence, mess it up, and go, wait, never mind. You might notice. Maybe you even think, that was a little awkward. And then what happens? You move on. You check your phone. You think about dinner. You remember something embarrassing you did. 5 minutes later, their awkward moment is buried under 50 other things happening in your own life. But when you are the awkward person, suddenly it feels like everybody went home and opened a case file. Subject said something weird at 2:47 p.m. Investigation ongoing. They didn't. You just experienced the moment from inside your own head. So you felt the embarrassment. You heard the exact tone of your voice. You noticed your heart speed up. You remember the sentence word for word. They experienced none of that. To them, it may have been 3 seconds. To you, it came with an entire internal soundtrack. And that creates one of the strangest social illusions. Because a moment feels huge to you, your brain assumes it must have looked huge to everyone else. And if you do this too, I actually want to know. What's the smallest thing you've ever overthought for way too long? A weird goodbye? A message that got a dry reply? A joke nobody reacted to? Put it in the comments. Because once you start noticing these moments, you realize how absurdly small some of them are. But there's another reason your brain won't drop them. It thinks the discomfort means there's still something left to fix. So it asks, what should I have said? You invent a better answer, then an even better one. Then you imagine how they would have responded to that. And now you're having a completely new conversation with a person who isn't even there. The problem is, you're trying to solve something that already happened. If you actually hurt someone, that's different. You can apologize. If you made a mistake that still has consequences, maybe you can fix it. But most of these moments aren't like that. There is no action left. You just wish you had looked cooler, sounded smarter, been less awkward. And your brain keeps working because it hasn't realized that there is nothing left to solve. That's why stop thinking about it usually does nothing. Your brain thinks, no, we're almost there. One more replay and we'll finally know what that facial expression meant. You won't, because the answer is inside someone else's head. And sometimes the only way to finish an awkward moment is to accept that you will never know exactly what they thought. That's the uncomfortable part. Not the memory, the uncertainty. And once you see that, the question changes. Instead of, "What did they think of me?" ask, "Is there actually anything I need to do now?" If yes, do it. Apologize. Clarify. Fix whatever happened. But if the honest answer is, "No, I just wish the moment had gone differently," then your brain isn't solving a problem anymore. It's trying to rewrite the past. And you can't win that game, because there will always be a better sentence you could have said, a better joke, a smoother reaction, a version of you that never says anything strange. That person does not exist. Everyone occasionally says something weird. Everyone misreads a room. Everyone has conversations they wish they could edit afterward, including the person whose opinion you're currently terrified of. They probably have their own moment they're replaying, maybe one you didn't even notice. So the next time 3 awkward seconds follow you home, remember this. You are seeing the moment through a microscope. Everyone else saw it while walking past. Maybe they noticed. Maybe they didn't. Maybe they thought it was weird for 5 seconds. You don't actually need to know, because sometimes the reason you can't move on is simply that you're waiting for certainty you were never going to get. And while you've been replaying the moment all day, there's a good chance the other person already forgot it happened, hours ago. Mindward explores the strange things our brains do in completely ordinary moments. If that sounds like your kind of thing, subscribe, because apparently being human is weird enough.